This episode is brought to you by VPP Simplified. Now you can get element by element tracking and guidance for your VPP journey. Every aspect of the VPP requirements in one easy-to-use interactive spreadsheet. Achieving VPP star status can be tough, but understanding what it takes to get there can be simplified. This VPP Gap tool will help you do that. Go to vppsimplified.com for more information.
Welcome to the Safety Pro Podcast, where we help you manage workplace safety one episode at a time. And now, your very own Safety Pro, Blaine J. Hoffman.
Welcome to another episode of the Safety Pro Podcast. This episode, I'm going to talk about writing an effective accident report. This is an article and some tips that I got from our friends over at atlantictraining.com, and I have a link in the show notes for them so you can check them out. But there's some really good tips. A lot of folks miss this one. They dive right into trying to solve a problem and forget to document some critical aspects of incidents, whether they're injuries, illnesses, property damage, things like that. So we're going to get into some tips on how to write an effective accident report. Now, obviously, if you have good safety training, a comprehensive written safety program, you've got these things locked down, you shouldn't have to write too many of these incident reports. But that's the problem. Well, it's a good problem to have, don't get me wrong. But like anything else, if you're out of practice, you're going to stumble over a few key items when, the few and far between instances that you do have to write one of these reports. So that's why I'm kind of talking about this topic in the episode, because, sometimes things do slip through the cracks and it results in an incident or accident, property damage, even a near miss. You should be doing these for near misses, and we'll try to dot that I several times throughout this episode. But, when this happens, not only are you required by OSHA to record certain incidents, but it can be imperative in future prevention of similar incidents. So that's why it's key to get this right at the beginning. Okay. Now, the best way to go about reporting an incident is to fill out an incident report. Now, the following steps, the steps I'm going to cover here, will help you write an effective incident report that covers all of the necessary elements needed for further action. But first, before we dive into that, I want to stop and talk a moment about our incredible partners in safety, who'sonlocation.com. If you're a regular listener to this podcast and you haven't gone to who'sonlocation.com yet, what are you waiting for? Seriously, let me know. Drop me a line. Let me know what you're waiting for. Go to who'sonlocation.com. Check out the website. Check out the service they offer, a complete digital solution to contractor management, visitor management, employee time. These are management solutions for remote locations anywhere in the world. So whether you're setting up an iPad kiosk in your lobby for visitors to sign in, or you're having contractors at remote sites sign in via mobile when they hit your property so that they're on location, or you're utilizing, an evacuation management event at multiple sites, all from your mobile, smartphone, desktop, or tablet, who'sonlocation.com has the solution for you. The thing to remember is that this will work across all platforms, whether it's, mobile, iOS, Windows, Android, and desktop as well. So you don't have to worry about compatibility issues with different devices, okay? Get a 30-day free trial. Go to who'sonlocation.com, sign up for the trial. No credit card needed. And if you decide to stay with who'sonlocation.com, your trial will convert over to a full service suite without losing any data that you entered in there. So look, go to who'sonlocation.com today. Make sure you tell them I sent you and get your free trial and start digitizing, modernizing your employee, visitor, contractor, and emergency evacuation management today. Another great partner in safety you need to know about. The official floor marking, floor sign company of the Safety Pro Podcast is none other than Mighty Line Floor Tape. Go to mightylinetape.com/podcast to get a free sample of their incredible floor tape. You can catch past episodes of this podcast there as well. Listen, a couple of quick facts. What makes Mighty Line tape mighty? What makes it better than the average floor tape you're going to find out there in the market? 1, 7 times thicker than the average floor tape. 2, it's going to last longer. It'll take a beating under heavy traffic, especially forklift traffic. Listen to this. The beveled edge makes it ideal for forklift traffic. They have solutions for indoor warehouses, freezer floors. They have centerline glow tape, so during power outages, to make it safer for folks to find their way out to an exit. It's safer for forklift traffic as well. Go to mightylinetape.com/podcast. Find out what makes them special. You'll also see right there, it's made right here in the USA. Again, go to mightylinetape.com/podcast. Get your free sample of Mighty Line floor tape. Try it for yourself. You'll not regret it. Okay, as I mentioned, the best way to go about reporting an incident is to start filling out an incident report. And it doesn't matter if you're doing old school paper, clipboard and paper program. I haven't done that in so long. I use a digital solution, but it doesn't matter. The information you're going to need to capture and what you're going to need to fill in and write down doesn't change. So this applies to, long form or digital type of reporting systems, okay? The first thing is you have to be able to respond in a timely manner. We all know what happens if, an incident occurs on a Friday, late Friday afternoon, you're about to head out the door. I'll follow up on that Monday morning. It was minor. It was no big deal. Somebody's going to be off Monday. Somebody's on a different shift. I've even had cases, and this is no lie, where somebody ended up quitting the job over the weekend and didn't even get back with us the following week trying to chase down a near miss that occurred. Look, things happen, okay? Time is your enemy in these cases. You want to begin to gather the details immediately after receiving news or becoming aware of an incident. This is going to help you gather details that are fresh in the minds of those involved, and it's going to help you be able to piece together the factors involved, sort of the root causes or drivers involved in the incident's occurrence, okay? You're going to want to gather all the details and facts. Having all of the facts, it's important in being able to decipher what caused the incident and how it can be prevented in the future. It's also necessary for business insurance purposes, workers' comp. I mentioned earlier OSHA, and it's going to help you make decisions in the final stages of the analysis that are important to the business to prevent these from recurring. Critical facts of most incidents that you should include are the following: the date and time that it occurred, the specific location of the incident, either department, workstation, job site, things like that, and anybody who was involved and their immediate supervisors, names, the title of their position, department, their immediate supervisor. You got to get really granular, and I'm going to talk about why here in a few minutes, but you want all of this information recorded. Another piece of information: names and accounts of those who witnessed the accident. Don't forget ear witnesses, not just eyewitnesses. People may have heard things when they were performing a task, entering some data on a machine. You can go back and check logs, and when they say, hey, as soon as I started the machine, I heard it like immediately. You could go back on some machines and you could see a log of when that occurred, so you can line up what they heard along with something else somebody saw. You can kind of piece this picture together, this puzzle together. So don't forget folks that have heard something and maybe didn't directly see something. The series of events that took place leading up to the accident. Sometimes it's helpful to put people at ease by saying, you know what, why don't we just start when you got to work? Just walk me through your morning. No big deal. Don't leave anything out. Did you get coffee? Did you say hi to some folks? Just start there and just, lead up to, when you went to your workstation or when you got to that piece of equipment. Put them at ease. Get them into the mode of, telling a story about their day. Okay. Sometimes it's weird for people to be able to explain, just at the, snap of a finger, tell me what you were doing when this happened. So put them at ease, make them feel comfortable, and let them talk their way through it and without like steering them or nudging them too much, okay? So make sure you get the series of events that took place leading up to the accident. This also goes for employees that were involved, right? That were directly involved or right there. Same thing. What were you doing? What did you notice? Walk me through your day like any other day. Just tell me that story. What about the environmental conditions and of the location, right, that it occurred? For example, were the floors slippery? Was a door left open and it's wintertime and, the slip and fall could have been contributed to that? What about clutter in the area? A lot of noise, things like that. Don't forget environmental conditions that may be contributing factors. The circumstances or materials involved when it took place. For example, what about tools? What about machinery, equipment? How about personal protective equipment? What about the tools and machinery of others that were in the area? What about specific injuries that were sustained to anybody that was involved, right? What area of the body, how severe, the mechanism of injury, struck by, caught in between, things like that. And the treatment that was administered to the employees. We'll get to why all of this information is important, but any and all damage to equipment, so property damage, materials to the facilities, beams, walls, floor, things like that. You want to document all of that stuff. Look, all of this stuff you can mine for later across different incidents that occur. You can actually see, hey, this area of the shop seems to have, 2.5 times more near misses and close calls than any other area of the plant. Let's look at what goes on in that area. There's 2 cross aisles that come into the area. There's 3 machines that have a lot of noise. There are no mirrors. You can actually look at all of this data. That's why it's important to know the environmental conditions, what supervisor, what shift, how long did the person work here, how many years of experience do they have or don't have. All of these little data points actually help you when you do some trending, okay? So you have to include all of this stuff. And another resource that's beneficial for documenting events, you've all got them in your phone, and they're all incredible, and that's a camera. Take pictures of where the incident took place. Start wide, get a wide angle shot of the entire scene. That's the best way to kind of get a reference point. And then start narrowing in on specific areas of the scene, whether it's involving an area of the shop, building, indoors or outdoors, or specific processes or pieces of equipment. So again, using the phone, taking videos, you can even reenact the scene. You can have somebody stand in a position once it's safe to do so and simulate what an operator or an employee was doing just prior to the accident. You can even walk through a process to compare it to, job instructions, work instructions, things like that. So documenting all of these things is going to help you get a clearer picture as to what drove the incident to begin with. Now, you can use more complex problem-solving tools. I've done previous episodes on 5 why problem-solving, fishbone analysis. Use some lean tools. For this episode, I just want to talk to folks that are just trying to get started with how to conduct an effective safety investigation, accident and incident investigation, how to document these things, and some steps to use. So if you want a deeper look at specific tools that you can use to complement this overall approach, then go back and check out those episodes. And you can also check out the website to get some links to resources to use as well, templates and things like that. So the third thing is, you're going to have to piece all of this stuff together. Piecing together the sequence of events is going to help you determine which factors were involved and maybe likely to have contributed to the incident. Again, you're going to want all the details of the events leading up to the incident, what specific actions the employees were doing prior to the incident, what materials, tools, equipment was involved, that kind of stuff. Determine what was involved in the incident. What exactly happened to the employee? Was it struck by, caught in between? How were they injured? The mechanism of injury. Why were they injured? And again, not why in the sense that you're going to ask the employees, but, why did the event take place is something you're going to be focused on. How you get there, again, is more outwardly to those involved, is taking more of an approach of, tell me the story of how this occurred. How is a much better word you use. Outwardly, inwardly, you're looking at, especially if it involves a piece of equipment or process that failed, that broke, if you will. Why is a very good, root cause analysis, problem solving tools are very, very effective at, broken processes. But when we talk about, humans and humans interacting, and it's more of human organizational approach, right? So you're going to be talking in terms of how this could have been facilitated to occur. What cultural aspects are at play, what policies or lack thereof do we have? So keep that in mind when you're going back to determine what was involved in the incident, and also identify what happened after the incident. What did the employees do just after? What kind of reaction was involved? How did they signal for help, even if they were able to? How did the response take place? How was the incident discovered by others that were involved? Those are things that are important as well. So remember, just recapping here, 1, the details of the event leading up to the incident. 2, determine what was involved and identify what happened after, right, for the third one. So the details gathered in those the three things I just ran down for you, that should be specific enough so that anyone reading the report can seamlessly create the story in their mind and can then therefore view the incident as a whole, as a whole picture. So it often helps to create diagrams, to visually analyze the incident, charts, graphs, again, photos and video to string it all together. Okay, the fourth thing that you're going to do in this list here is analyze the findings of the incident. You can now begin to create an in-depth analysis of what caused the events, the factors involved, and ultimately answer, how could this have occurred? Now, with the details you gathered, you should be able to at least speculate, make a scientific speculation on the following items. Primary cause or causes. For example, machine wasn't locked out. And again, these are primary, not secondary. I'll get to that in a second. But an example of a primary cause is the machine wasn't locked out, wasn't released, energy wasn't released from the machine before, commencing maintenance work. Secondary cause would be, an example of this would be because the employee did not check to see if the machine was locked out or the energy bled or released prior to performing the maintenance. And then additional factors, or even deeper, would be employees haven't received refresher training or didn't receive initial training for lockout, tagout. We don't have a robust policy. It's not been, enforced or administered sort of, I guess you could say, consistently in the past, those cultural drivers. The deeper you get away from the primary cause, the better you're going to be. Remember, think about the difference. This injury occurred because the machine wasn't locked out versus the injury occurred because lockout, tagout wasn't observed due to the fact that we have a policy, but it's not publicized, hasn't been trained on. Any of these maintenance employees were hired, did not go through this training. They went through a basic orientation, and we relied on their knowledge and expertise of maintenance in the industry to do the job. So that says something entirely different, and it tells you what to do that's different than the first one. The first one, most people are going to go, oh, well, we'll write the person up, discipline. Well, is that the answer? Is that going to fix this and prevent it from happening again? No, you have a whole population of maintenance folks out there that you're just hoping, using air quotes here, learn the hard lesson of their fellow worker who got injured. So when you analyze your findings, this fourth item here, make sure that you cascade down, you drill deeper beyond that primary, more obvious cause, okay? And then what that allows you to do is, number 5, formulate a preventative action plan that will actually prevent future incidents from occurring. So any incident report, it's useless without a plan to correct the actions for future prevention. And you can only get there by a really deep root cause analysis that includes the human and organizational contributors that may have been involved. Every incident is a hard lesson that has yet to be learned or has been overlooked. Now, I'm going to list a few items as examples of areas that may need correcting based on any of the facts surrounding your incident, okay? 1, adequate employee safety training. There are many resources out there to help train employees in various aspects. I'm sharing with you some information from Atlantic Training. I have a link in the show notes that you can get really easy, affordable, quick safety training for your folks, or if you want to do some training so that you can then turn around and be in a better position to impart that knowledge to your workforce, you can go to places like atlantictraining.com. But you need to take a look at your employee safety training process and see how robust is it? How often do you train employees? How well was it administered to begin with? All of those things. Another one, 2, adequate and proper maintenance of machinery, equipment, and workplace in the workspace. You need to do a really good analysis on how well we manage preventative maintenance work orders, event maintenance work orders. Do you have that data readily available? Do you use a software program to manage equipment in your facility? Those are all important questions you're going to need to address, okay? So make sure that you're able to track the percent of preventative maintenance work orders that are open, that have been closed, okay? Things like that. And also reevaluating standard operating procedures regarding certain jobs and reassessing how they should be carried out. Do you have an annual review of work instructions that involves operators doing the job to make sure that, we didn't have any drift from or deviation from the previously established work procedures, work instructions, because that happens. Operators will sort of adopt their own way of doing things, and sometimes there are better ways of doing them, but if it's in an uncontrolled manner, unsupervised manner, in a vacuum, that's how we get this drift where operator A is doing it one way, operator B on another shift, or even same shift, different machines doing it a different way. Not only can it affect quality of products and efficiency, productivity, output, but we could be introducing serious safety concerns into that process as a result. So looking at the standard operating procedures, how we manage those, how we audit those, and then at least periodically review procedures to make sure that they're still applicable. That's something you're going to want to include into your preventative action plan. Also, something you may need to add is identifying and conducting, I mentioned job hazard analysis, or JSA, job safety analysis, to thoroughly cover all risks associated with certain jobs. We often find in industry, you'll add a piece of equipment, machinery, or significantly change, a portion of a process or a job that we've now got hazards or steps in the process that weren't evaluated before. So we just need to go back and take a hard look at that. Also, operational changes and adjustments that include more thorough safety measures, such as adding additional safety equipment, changing procedures, things like that. You have to include all of this stuff in your preventative action plan. You may need to identify additional sources of energy. Maybe you remove some sources of energy that no longer apply. Maybe you're making your processes safer, but we haven't updated our written procedures, operating procedures, or policies and rules, workplace rules. So look, the bottom line is, a good incident report will identify the problems using in-depth analysis and research and offers a viable solution to that problem or problems, right? A thorough, well-prepared report will accurately pinpoint what corrective action is necessary so that you may prevent future incidents and keep your team safe. If you want more great information like this, go to atlantictraining.com, follow the link in my show notes, and you can get there quickly. But they've got some good information. Sign up for their emails. That's how this one came across. Look at some of the safety training that they offer there. I do have an affiliate link in the show notes that you can use. And so, it helps support this podcast. If you do decide to get some training from them, make sure they understand that, we sent you. But other than that, it's another great resource that you can use to help improve safety in your workplace. Let me know if you're using any particular templates or format or approach in your incident investigations that we can share with other listeners. You can drop me a message at info@thesafetypropodcast.com. Be sure to check out our awesome partners in safety, who'sonlocation.com, and mightylinetape.com/podcast. That wraps up this quick episode. Wanted to get some basic information out about incident investigations. I hope this helps you in your journey to improve safety in the workplace for your employees. And until the next Safety Pro podcast episode, as always, be safe.